Hi, I'm James Mathers with the Digital Cinema Society. We're here at Sigma Burbank today, and we're going to shoot some tests with a group of filmmakers led by Roy H. Wagner, ASC. We're going to evaluate not only the Rotolight Titan and Titan II, we're also going to look at the URSA 12K camera, and we're going to be shooting on Sigma lenses. We're going to shoot a few small vignettes and get the filmmaker's reaction to the gear.
I'm a director of photography. My name is Roy Wagner. I've done Beauty and the Beast, Quantum Leap. I've done little tiny shows, Juarez, Some Kind of Woman, Houston Nights, Dukes of Hazzard. I've done big features like Nick of Time, Stakeout, Drop Zone. Lots of varied things, and I've never tried to do the same thing twice. I've always tried to find something different. And that brought me up to doing shows like The Beast with Patrick Swayze and Elementary. I did Cracker, which was a show in England. It's been amazingly wonderful because on the worst day of my life, I'm still following my dream.
My name is Ron Sill. I'm a cinematographer, gaffer, lighting consultant. Roy Wagner ASC is one of the prominent members of our community. And when I learned that I would have an opportunity to work with him today, I was really very excited.
My name is Donna Kinsky. I'm a cinematographer, camera operator, drone owner-operator. I'm super techie, nerdy. I love new tech, and to test it and to get a chance to play while not on a movie set is gold.
Go ahead and roll camera. Dolly.
Should I cook? What should I cook? I barely have anything. I have to find a recipe. Maybe I'll just go to In-N-Out. But that's a walk and I'd have to get dressed. Ugh, it's so unhealthy. Poke, yeah. They always give me too much and I get so full. Pizza? Delivery again? Ugh, the service fees. Killing me. Drive-through. No, ugh! I gotta get my credit card.
What we were doing is kind of creating a sky blue type of thing in the back with sort of a sunset sunrise on the side, and it just looked, and there's like somehow this magenta in the middle, and it just looked really, I don't want to say natural because that wasn't what we were going for, but soft curvature.
I like counterpoint. I mean, I've seen lots of films that are all done with corals, or they're all gold or brown or something like that. The whole film is that direction. By the end of the first reel, by the end of the first 20 minutes, you don't remember that you're seeing that color anymore. I'm much more inclined to do things that are interpretive, counterpoints with light, color of light, tonal values of light. And so I think that what I saw there was the camera didn't suddenly tell me, oh, you can't use that red. You can't use that orange. You can't use that blue in the same frame, because I was told, Blackmagic, you can't use mixed color temperatures. We weren't even on the right color temperature on the camera. I had it on 4,200 degrees Kelvin. But for me, that's interpretive. That's my choice. It's not Caleb Deschanel's choice. It's not Roger Deacon's choice. It's my choice. And they do the same things. They have their own journeys of interpretation. And that's what makes us all uniquely different and why we all have uniquely different voices. And what I love about this business is that we don't all have to be the same.
The range of color that's available on this particular light, the Titan 1 and Titan 2, is really extensive because you can go from correlated color temperature to RGBW settings and the full range of colors available there. You can select hue, saturation, intensity, and you can select XY. So if you're in a location where you're reading your spectrometer and you get a reading of the ambient light and you want to match it, you can dial that in. So all of those features are right there at your fingers.
On the shot of the distracted woman trying to meditate, we've all been there, as you can see, there's a wide variety of colors being used. This RGBWW light is a 5-chip diode, so you're able to get your better punch of power of light and better color quality. Technology in LEDs have come a long way. I mean, even 5 years ago, we weren't getting a great white. Now we're lighting entire LED walls with projects. So it's exciting to see the latest technology make our lives easier on set.
It's the happiest days of my life we're slating.
Okay, settle in, everybody. So I just want to talk about what we're doing here. On the move, we're changing the diffusion. We did not change the intensity.
No.
We didn't dim it, I should say.
No.
But the diffusion does tend to change the
It
intensity.
does, not substantially though. It's not a substantial change. It's just displacing and dispersing the light. In effect, if you put a regular diffusion like a silk or a 216, you'd be losing a lot more light because you're violating the optics of the instrument. And whereas because that's optically at the center of where that beam is supposed to be, you put a diffusion out in front of it, you're getting dispersion, and that diffuses it, but it also changes the stop substantially. Also, you're changing the color temperature too. I mean, a 216 and an opal or 250 or a silk are basically changing the color temperature, whereas this isn't changing the color temperature because those couplets are lenses.
Right.
And so it's not the same as putting a diffusion on the light, because diffusion on the light is sort of a poor man's process of softening the image. And we've gotten accustomed to it and we like it, and sometimes it gets warmer and we go, we have to put a quarter blue on it or an eighth blue to make it come back up to the proper color temperature. You can change the diffusion from what we call a 216 to a 250 to an opal, based upon how much diffusion you're putting into it. And as I contend, if you have a light source closer to the subject, the light tends to be harder. And as you can see, as we came around, that's what happens. You're getting sharper delineations, even though this is a softer light. If I had the light back 12 feet, it'd be softer. The other thing is that if your subject is a particular specific size, this is coming from the days of lighting cars, the source should be bigger than the subject you're photographing. So in this case, the Titan 2 is a bigger light source than her face. So I'm wrapping the light around, even though it's close. I'm wrapping the light around her, and you're getting a softer transition.
Another lesson from Roy H. Wagner, ASC.
Let's not forget the real voice here, the Scarlet.
It's that smart soft diffusion. In the layman's terms, it's liquid crystals, and in their natural state, they're actually diffused. But as you run electric current through that, it scatters and then it becomes undiffused. So today, we are manually adjusting that on the light, but because it has the latest Lumen radio in there and it has Bluetooth, you're able to do that wireless via DMX with whatever third-party DMX protocols you're already using. So if you're on a locked COVID set and you just need to manipulate that just a little bit, you can do that wirelessly without having to go onto set and touching the device. So it's really innovative to make our job easier on set to be able to manipulate the diffusion and other controls wirelessly. But yes, the diffusion is beautiful. You can go from a 60-degree spread to a 150-degree spread, and you can do it by percentage points instead of quarter, half, etc.
Anything that you can become more efficient at, that you obviously experience helps a lot. Knowing where to place the light, what you need to do to economize, how much equipment you really need, because it's always a battle with production. You need that many lights, you need that kind of crew, you need these quality of people. So if I can find a way of economizing and being more efficient, then that means that I'm getting the best people and proper lights, proper equipment for every job that I have, instead of second guessing. I've been on huge HBO shows where they have lights everywhere. There's 300 or 400 lights on the set, 90% of which they never use, but they're just there and they're not pulling them off. They get in the way. And the fact is, with these lights, they're smaller than the competitors' lights, they're lighter than the competitors' lights. The gift for me is that they have a better spread and a more consistent spread than the other lights that I've used. I've used everybody's lights. And one thing I found about this light over any of the others I've tried is they have very low power consumption. They have the ability to find the spectral color that you desire. They have every filter that Lee and Roscoe makes. And they also have a dimmable, and they're the first ones to have come up with this, a dimmable diffusion. Now, the thing I love about that light is that I can get that light 100 feet away, and I'm still able to do that. I mean, I did one television series with Rotolights, a pilot with Rotolights, where we used 3 lights in big sets, because it was not about me. It was not about my stuff. It was about the actors and the performance and creating the illusion. And if I can do it with 1 light or 3 lights, James Wong Howe did it, so why can't I? If you have the right lights, your manufacturer is going to make sure that he shines through you, because if you shine, he's going to shine.
I was on a kind of a quick shoot one day. It just showed up the day before, and I called Pamela, and she was able to come. She just happened to be in town, happened to have the demo lights on her, and she came by. She was like my gaffer for the day. And I was blown away that day, because I pretty much had the 1x1 and the 2x1, and it was the original generation, because it was a while back. And I was like, wow. Today, one of the things I was most impressed by the new iteration of the Rotolight is the user interface on the back. I think it's maybe the most intuitive that I've seen thus far. Easy to navigate immediately. No need to read a manual, or, along with a spectrometer, you're gold.
I really was impressed with the way that you can dial in diffusion on this light, from essentially a 216 through a 250 down to essentially opal or nothing at all. And that also gives you the ability to control the amount of spread that you get from the light, with some, but not a great deal, of light loss.
And so these lights were greater than what I had expected, because when I discovered them, when I first discovered them, suddenly these lights didn't need cable distribution. They didn't need power. They had battery power. And the battery power, and I've practiced this a lot, put a battery on in the morning, and if it's 50% or less, it'll last the entire day.
I'm very, very much in favor of putting batteries on everything, because it makes adjusting the lights and moving them to the right position very simple and it doesn't clutter the floor with a lot of cable. LEDs are marvelous because they don't require a lot of cabling, but if I don't have to run a cable to this light and I can run it, as we did with this particular light all day from one battery pack, that's huge.
What does that mean for an artist? What does that mean for an artist who's having to go to a production manager, to an assistant director and say, well, it's going to take me all this time because if you want a light there, one come through here, that's going to take me a half an hour to do that. I don't have to do that because I don't have to put a wand of cable out to where that light is. I just put the battery on it wherever it's at and I'm ready. That's powerful because anybody that's been in this business for any length of time at all will tell you that what steals most of the day's time from a technical point of view is cable distribution. Because in the morning, you either have to have a crew, another crew to bring it in, lay it out, and that's hundreds of feet of cable, heavy cable, with distribution boxes, and at the end of the day, you have to have someone wrap it. If it's your own crew, that means they're on the clock another hour. That's an hour of overtime. Hour is normal, the normal amount of wrap. But if you don't have all that cable, suddenly that's an hour that you're giving the actor and the director to make their movie. That's a giant gift. It's not small, it's huge.
Although we didn't get a chance to play with the special effects today, there is a wide variety of options. Control is a big part of that. I'm able to really customize the color that I want to bring into the special effects, but it goes farther. I can actually control my speed and duration of whatever special effect I use. Here's the cop car, blue and red, but I also can do just blue or just red, whatever I need, and I can play with the speed and the type of pulses I'm getting. Another fun one is paparazzi. I can go in there, do my paparazzi, play with the speed, and nail the look that I need for my projects.
Although our main focus today was the Rotolights, we also want to get some opinions on some of the other gear that we're using, like the Blackmagic Design URSA Mini Pro 12K, and the Sigma lenses.
A friend of mine kept saying, you need to take a look at Blackmagic. You need to take a look at their cameras. And I asked my friend, I said, shoot a test with this camera. I want it to be 4 stops overexposed in the highlights, and I want to see what it does in the shadows. What Blackmagic was able to do was take that 4 stops of overexposure and bring it back down to the proper exposure, and it looked the same. I said, well, that's the key for me, because if you're dealing with a zone system photography, which is what Ansel Adams did, then your proper exposure is not what the light meter says, it's what your eye says based upon interpreting the tonal values of what the scene you're in. I decided to shoot a feature with never having shot the camera, but just some tests, shooting an entire feature with the G1, which was, it's antiquated technology now. But we shot with the G1, a full feature, and the colorist at Technicolor didn't know. He thought it was an Alexa. And couldn't believe the color space, especially in skin tones, which I contend that this camera has interpretive skin tones better than any of the cameras I've used. And so the G1 came, the G2 came, kept getting better and better. But the thing that, when they said they were coming out with a 12K, I said, why are you coming out with a 12K? It's not even a full sensor, it's a Super 35 sensor. And suddenly it occurred to me, we were shooting VistaVision plates and 65 millimeter in special effects so that an effects person could have a high resolution image they could dance within. They could find and adjust the shot within that. So you could take a 12K image, not use the full 12K, and you were in effect doing what every producer or film editor does with every film that we shoot. They change the composition, or they say, you know, we should have had a zoom in here. Well, if you use a normal camera, if it's a 1080 image, you start blowing up, you begin to get noise. Not with a 12K. With a 12K, most of the effects people are using this camera now because they're blown away with the ability and the power of putting this on a giant LED screen It's 150 feet wide by 60 feet tall. Filters, lights, cameras, lenses. I want the people that are going on the journey that I started on many years ago, young filmmakers, I want them to have a safer environment to work in so that they don't have to beg for things that just should be commonplace, because if you have the right camera, it doesn't have to cost $250,000. If you have the right lenses, it doesn't have to cost $250,000, and you have to change it again next year. I've done side-by-side tests with Sigma against other lenses. I've done side-by-side tests with this camera against all the other cameras. And so with the Sigma lenses, I can go to a film student and I say, you can make a movie, and I can show them the movie I shot with Sigma lenses, and with the G1, which is very inferior technology to what's currently available with this camera. And I can say, you can make a movie with this, and you're not going to, aside from that picture on the set with you standing next to a $100,000 camera, nobody's going to know the difference.
As far as the Sigma Cine lenses, today I got to see kind of the whole set. I was talking last night with a couple people about coming out here today, and they couldn't stop talking about how the glass is fantastic, the actual glass elements, the quality of the glass elements. So I would say that it would be better if I was able to borrow a set for a longer shoot, but having played with the 50 and the 135 and the 40, I'm very happy with what it looks like. You can see in one of our shots that we did, you could see the bokeh in the sides. I think it's very pleasing. I think it's kind of soft and smooth, not too attention grabby. You could probably see it behind me, actually.